I'm James Demer, the Audio Nomad, and today we are going to talk about the long-awaited, much-anticipated Thieaudio Cypher headphone. Before we get into today's review, I want to remind you we're doing a giveaway every review video that I do. The way you enter is you like, subscribe, and comment. Look for your name pinned to the top of next week's video. If you've won, you'll win something cool, and I wish you the best of luck. Now let's talk about the Thieaudio Cypher. Let's just get this out of the way. I'm an employee of Linsoul, and Linsoul owns Thieaudio. I also want you to know that long before I started working for Linsoul, I was buying headphones from Thieaudio. And in fact, when I met the owners of Linsoul in 2019 in Shenzhen, I bought this pair of headphones. It's the Thieaudio Phantom. It was a planar headphone. Mine has like rubber bands hanging off it because I modified it. But it was a fun $300 headphone. It was Thieaudio's first headphone. So I still have mine. The next set of headphones I bought from Thieaudio was the Ghost. It's the Thieaudio Ghost, which was a dynamic driver headphone. It was kind of like their sort of Sennheiser killer headphone. It was a good headphone. You could buy these for $50 for a long time. It's a fantastic headphone. It's actually a headphone that I still use next to my bed when I'm listening to movies or something like that and I want to wake up my wife. You know, it's a great set of headphones. Then along came the Wraith, which is a planar. It was a planar headphone. You can see that the shape of the Wraith is actually quite similar to the shape of the Cypher. You're going to see that in a minute. This was a planar headphone. It had a weird tuning, and it also had a lot of sort of sub-bass roll-off. So what I did was I put electrical tape around the ear pads and was able to increase the bass response. But it still had a weird tuning. It was kind of heavy, but a beautiful headphone. It's one that I really enjoyed looking at from a aesthetic standpoint. I also managed to get my hands on this. I'm not going to show it to you for very long because it was a Phantom Mark II prototype planar headphone. This thing actually sounds really good, and I listen to it from time to time. The headband is made of it's like a hose clamps, it looks like, or definitely a DIY thing. It's got these little like SMA antenna connectors for the cable, 4.4 connector cable. But heck, you know what? I might bring this to the occasional show so people can give it a listen and let me know what they think. Thieaudio doesn't come out with a lot of headphones. That would be if it's 2019 and they really have 1, 2, 3, and now 4 models and it's 2026. That's less than one a year. With the Thieaudio Cypher, details really matter. That's true with the way it looks and feels. Let's find out if that's true with the way it sounds. So you get this outer box. It's a good-looking box. You know, it's not the easiest to drive of dynamic driver headphones. I found that it definitely needed some amplification from my phone and my computer. So if you're considering this headphone and you want to get the most out of it, you really should use a little bit of amplification. So you can see on the box it uses a 50 millimeter dynamic driver with an N45 magnetic array. I'm guessing the N stands for neodymium, which is a lightweight yet powerful magnet. Designed for professionals, reference grade tuning. We'll take a look at the graph and see if that's true. Premium construction, lightweight, durable. You know what? It's not that lightweight, but I would say that it probably is pretty durable. So you open the cardboard box and you can see that there's this beautiful, thin, almost an attaché leatherette case. Its design is very sleek and very premium. You know, it's like you feel like if you walked into Hermes or some boutique fancy store, you'd find something like this. Bang & Olufsen, I believe, had a similar case for one of its high-end wireless headphones. It was like a $2,000 headphone. I can't remember which model it was, something 100, I believe, had a case similar to this. But this case is nice. It says Thieaudio right at the top. Now you open up the case and slide out the headphones. And here are these beautiful Thieaudio Cypher headphones. Remember I said earlier that it's similar in design to the Wraith? Well, here's the Wraith, and you can see that they definitely borrowed the same design language. In fact, I think the tooling is actually the same. Probably Thieaudio saved a little bit of money by not reinventing the wheel and just recreating the Wraith design language, the actual physical architecture, and translating that to an entirely new headphone. This was a planar. This is dynamic driver. So it's a little bit lighter. The Wraith was actually quite a bit heavier than the Thieaudio Cypher. And the Cypher also has a unique grill pattern. So it's got this kind of a decorative design. You know, it's almost a Egyptian looking pattern. And then below that, there's a perforated bronze or a light tan sheet metal. And then it says Thieaudio across the outer ear cup here. And, you know, everything is metal. It's all aluminum. The swivel is actually quite nice. The amount of tension on the ear cup swivel to the headband is also pretty good. You know, I don't like it when it's too floppy. This is potentially a little bit on the stiff side, but I wouldn't say it's overly stiff. You know, the inner headband, I can tell you that the early prototype, it was too big. So everyone who tried this on, it just the cup sat too low. They fixed it. And now I would say that this probably will fit most people's heads perfectly. And it says Thieaudio, it's quite elegant. The headband is a stainless steel or a spring steel. I'm not sure if it's stainless or spring, actually. You know what? I'm going to grab a magnet and let's find out. Got a magnet. Let's see if it sticks. Oh, it does. So look at that. You can see the magnet sticks to the headband. So my guess is it's probably not stainless, or if it is, it's mostly a spring steel, which, you know, makes sense for a headband like this. So the particular set I received, which is like a kind of pre-production model, has a velour ear cup. There is some talk about doing a leatherette ear cup and a velour ear cup. But I do find these comfortable. My ear does not touch the inside of the ear cup like some other users do. It says L and R inside the cup, which I think is cool. They're also magnetic, which is really, really awesome. If you pop these off, you can see that this kind of Egyptian motif that's on the outside, while it's a different design, but it's very similar in its design language, carries through on the inside. And I think that's a really nice touch. The cups are angled. I don't know if the drivers themselves are angled, but the cup is angled, which effectively changes the way sound is going to hit your ear. Actually, before we talk about the sound of a Cypher, I should mention the cable. This comes with a braided cable. It says Thieaudio on it. It's two 3.5 tip ring sleeve connectors left and right, and then 3.5 on this end with a 6.3 or quarter-inch adapter. So you can plug this into quarter-inch. At the time of this review, there is no 4.4 cable. However, I have been told that that is something that I believe is going to be included in the production model. Don't hold me to that, but I believe that's the case. You know what? It's a good cable. It's not like the most amazing cable, but it works pretty well. It does have some microphonics. That was probably one of my biggest complaints about this cable. A little bit of microphonics. So for $400, or I think $329 if you get it on the Kickstarter, but let's just call it a $399 headphone. This is a tremendous value in terms of its build. You get a beautiful case. You get an exquisite design that is metal. It's not too light, but it's not too heavy. I didn't find it fatiguing for hours of listening. It stayed on my head pretty well, and I feel like it's something that's going to hold up to the test of time. In terms of its sound, let's take a look at the graph. You'll see that it is a fairly neutral tuning. So when they call it a reference tuning on the box, I think they're pretty close to accurate with that description. I listen to a lot of music with this headphone, and I would say, to answer the question, the sound does live up to the build quality. For $400, you do get a really well-made headphone, but you also get a great sounding headphone. The bass has really nice texture and detail, yet it doesn't sound flabby or tubby. It doesn't sound overly bloated. And while maybe it doesn't have a tremendous amount of deep sub bass, I don't generally need that in the music that I listen to. So it wasn't something that I missed. However, if you listen to a lot of house or EDM, or, you're using this for sci-fi movies or action movies, you might miss some of that real low rumbly resonance, because you're not going to get that entirely with this headphone. That might come down to the magnetic pad. I do wonder if there's a little bit of that sub-bass leakage with a magnet versus a better seal. Maybe I'll tape this up in the future and see if adding a little bit of seal improves that really, really low, 20 to 50 hertz sub-bass response. Moving into the mids, specifically the vocals, I find that both male and female vocals, and both everything from male bass, baritone, up to female soprano vocals really shine with this headphone. It does vocals tremendously well. They feel very natural. The timbre feels realistic to me when I compare it to my home speakers or the Mod House Tungsten version 2 double magnet that I often use as a comparison with headphones that I'm listening to. I also really like the way high frequencies are presented with this headphone. They're airy, they're sparkly, they're natural. There is a little bit of it's not quite sibilance, but there's a little bit of a bite to some, particularly male vocals in the upper register, that it's like a bite, it's not that like sibilance. It's a little bit lower than a sibilant frequency, where it's just, and it's not quite shouty. It's hard for me to describe, it gets a little bit like almost robotic, like it's like a square wave or something, where it just doesn't sound as smooth or buttery as I would like. But it really, that's something that I only heard in some tracks, definitely not all the time. So in summary, for $400, less if you get it on the Kickstarter, you're getting a really exceptionally well-designed, well-built, and well-tuned headphone. This is something that you can use for a long time. I feel like it competes with its peers in the price range, possibly from a build standpoint with peers that are much more expensive. And I believe you have an amplifier that can give them just a little bit more power than your laptop, certainly more power than your phone. You're going to have an experience that you'll be very, very happy with. I'm James Demer, the Audio Nomad. Thanks for watching my review on the Thieaudio Cypher. And if you have any questions about some of their older models, I've got them all here and would be happy to talk about old Thieaudio headphones or new Thieaudio headphones. Until next time, thanks for watching.
This video is brought to you by Linsoul.com. Linsoul sells IEMs, headphones, amplifiers, digital to analog converters, cables, really just about anything you could want for personal hi-fi or even home hi-fi. Their prices are great, the quality is exceptional, and their customer service is really second to none. Check them out in the link below.